So today on Instagram I saw a 3-minute video from Olivia Munn about Stop Asian Hate is the title. And if I find it, I'll put a link in. You can watch it if you haven't seen it. Just came out. Where she had different Asian actresses and actors talking about their desire for everyone to stop acts of cruelty towards Asians. Now, I agree that there have been acts of hate towards Asians, and it would be nice if it was eliminated. On that, I think everyone can be in total agreement on. For those who have been hurt, it's not fair, and it would be nice if it stopped. But here's the issue I have, or the questions that I have about it. First of all, I'll say in the comments, most people just gave emojis expressing their sympathies and agreement. But there were a couple who did put some comments that I found interesting and that I agree with. One gentleman was saying, well, it's not just Asians that have had acts of cruelty towards them, it's all races. So is it just stop Asian hate, or is it stop hate towards all races? So I agree with that comment. And then the other thing is that a couple of people have mentioned is that it's been black people who have done acts of cruelty towards Asians, and not just random acts. The one gentleman who did do it was mentally ill. So it wasn't that he did an act of cruelty towards Asians in that he meant to do it. He was mentally ill, and what he was doing was an act against the girls who were opening the massage parlors, and it wasn't that he hated Asians in particular. So this needs to be pointed out, and you can't just say, as they did in the video, they brought up all the cruelty towards Asians, like the China Exclusion Act, and when we interned the Japanese. So of course those were wrong, although the latter is a little understandable. In a time of war when we were really paranoid, I can imagine they didn't know what to do. From 60 years on, you can say it was wrong, certainly. But at that time, we were really paranoid about foreigners, and we were preparing for war against Japan. So I can certainly, not sympathize, or I can certainly understand the point of view they were coming from. So anyways, back to the original point of it. I wonder if Asians are only going to care about acts of cruelty towards Asians, will then black people, understandably, be the ones who care about cruelty towards black people? And if so, then it will turn into a thing where only someone of one race cares about acts happening to that race, and we'll lose the whole point of caring for each other, or worrying about each other, and then we'll be back to square one, where each race will only care about acts toward each race. And then my question to everyone is, doesn't that defeat the whole purpose of us caring about each other? If we're only going to care about our own predominant race, then we've kind of defeated the whole purpose, and we'll be into each faction only caring about each faction. And then that, to me, is a sad state of affairs for our society. The other thing that comes to mind is Olivia Munn and the other actresses don't bring up acts of cruelty by Asians toward other people, whether they be Asians or foreigners. There's the point of the Uyghurs who have had acts of cruelty towards them. There's 3 million of them in China who've been put into, whether you want to call it a re-education camp or a prison camp, they're certainly not free to leave. And Olivia Munn doesn't bring up that. To me, that is certainly something that should be mentioned or lamented or brought up into the discussion. Interestingly enough, just at the same time that I watched this video, I saw another video of a soccer player who was black being attacked by a white player who I think was Slavic, and he went up to him and whispered in his ear a derogatory comment, and then that turned into a bit of a brawl by the other players. Now, are we going to have a video or a denigration ceremony about this? And if so, then it's going to devolve into what I said, only the race caring about each other in the race. There's also the matter of when Kenny Smith of the NBA walked out on the set after a black player was shot, and he said, "I can't be on the set at this time." Well, what about when Dante was shot just the other day? Should all other black commentators then walk off the set because of that? Are they then going to walk off the set after every time a black a black person is shot? Are they going to walk off the set if a white person is shot? Now, my question here is simple. Are we only going to care about black people by black people? Are white people only going to care about white people? These are questions that need to be asked after this Stop Asian Hate video. It's not an easy issue to come to a conclusion or an opinion about. Are Asians only to care about Asians, or are we all to care about Asians? And this is something that you have to have a discussion about and to think about. It's not an easy issue to solve up in a 3-minute video by Olivia Munn. So I ask you to think about it and make some comments. It's a difficult issue to resolve. I will say this, that we're not going to stop racism anytime soon, if ever. You can bring out all the laws you want. That isn't going to stop racism. We've had racism ever since Cain and Abel, which is to say forever. There's always been racism. I experienced racism when I was a kid, and it hasn't stopped since. I don't think racism will ever stop, unfortunately, no matter how many laws you bring out against it. That's sadly a fact of human existence and human frailties. I will say this in ending, in that I personally, having studied sociology as much as I did, think that we're all racist in some degree. You can try to hide it, you can try to deny it, as some people do by saying, "Oh, I'm not racist against black people, I have a black friend," which is laughable. That doesn't mean you're not racist. And then there's isolated incidents I've experienced. When I went in Oakland, a guy came up to me saying, "You don't belong here, get out." I experienced the same thing when I was in Mexico. I got lost in a neighborhood, and the gentleman didn't think I spoke Spanish, said to someone who was trying to help me, "Don't help him." There's always been racism. There's racism wherever you go. I experienced reverse racism when I was in China. Olivia Munn doesn't mention that Chinese people are also racist against foreigners. Why doesn't she have a video about that? I don't know what the answer is, to be honest. I just have questions. Racism is not fair, it's not nice, it's not good, but it's not going to be stopped because of a video by Olivia Munn and all the actresses like Lucy Liu and all the others. It's not going to be stopped. So I ask you to think about that, and let's see if we can do better, but it's not going to be stopped, okay, unfortunately.